Hi, Dad. Welcome back to another episode of Dave and Andy's Honest About Life. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Andy. Oh, as always.
Yes, yes, yes. We ended the last episode talking about how we experience time, and you have a few years on me, uh, so I'm curious. Do you experience time? Does it speed up? Does it slow down? How do you experience time now?
It's weird because I've heard the opposite of my experience is that it's going faster. I'm racing to the grave. But I've heard that it's because you're bored, it slows down. But I guess I haven't been bored. But it seems to be going a lot more quickly.
Does it? So I've heard that it has something to do with routine. So if you sort of, wake up every morning and you do the same thing and you spend your day the same way, that all these days sort of just melt together. And so it feels like it goes faster because, you don't have these moments that stick in your mind that are significant, that slow it down. Or if you do something new, you go on a trip, where you're experiencing new things and seeing new sights, that has a tendency to slow it down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think we probably, in our everyday life, when something doesn't stand out, it's almost like it just zips by those things.
Yeah.
And we go right on by without making a mental note that wow, that was fun, or that was different. So yeah, I can see where that's probably my life. I'm just
No.
things are
Well,
just zipping by.
honestly, that's probably the case for most, Dad. One of the things we wanted to talk about is maybe now's a good time to put it into the conversation is the one about, the way that we were taught in school, 40 years ago or longer or further back about the way that our teachers, you know, treated us, the way that we in turn treated them, uh, with respect, and they sort of managed their classroom with a bit of fear. Was that your experience
Yeah,
when you
that's
were in grade school?
I think that's totally it, Andy. Things used to be a lot different. I think this is going to kind of ring true to a lot of people that are watching and listening. Is that used to be a lot different. I mean, teachers got away with a lot more than they do now, and they still demanded our respect, but they did that with fear. And I know a couple. I'm not going to mention names here, but I know a couple of teachers that would take kids and bang them against the lockers if they were doing something wrong, and they had to really be doing something wrong to get that kind of treatment. But it put fear in their minds, and it never happened again. So I've heard pros and cons about maybe we should be a little tougher on kids nowadays. Maybe we should be a little bit more demanding, and maybe that the teachers would get more respect. And it's the same thing with parents. My dad, love my dad. He had a ruler on top of the door frame that led into the kitchen, and we would always the kids would look to see if that ruler was up there, because if it was, then we're fine. But if the ruler wasn't there, we were in trouble. We knew that we were going to get our bottoms bashed with that ruler, and it was a thick ruler. It's one of those square rulers that I don't think they make anymore because they're a weapon. But my dad, and God bless him, I loved him, and I loved that because I gave him a lot of respect when I knew that he had that in his pocket and ready to use it on us. So we were pretty good kids when Dad had that ruler.
I can't imagine we'll ever get back to those days where there's discipline at that level in school of all places.
No, even parents these days, I've heard of parents getting sued by their kids because
Right.
they reprimanded them a little bit more roughly than they should have probably. But I just don't know what the answer is. I don't think we ever, as you said, will never get back to those days. It's just because everybody gets a little bit more. What do I want to say? Not respect, but they want to get more from their parents than just that tough hand. they want to learn in a different way,
Yeah,
you know, and I think a lot of us learned in that rough way, in that tough way. You know, when I go back to my era,
right.
but nowadays it's different.
Yeah. And we hear that a lot from your generation too about the way things used to be, the way things used to be, not just in the classroom, but within sports. If the coach came down on you, your parents would say, well, what did you do wrong? Instead of, what did the coach do wrong or what did the teacher do wrong? So and I grew up in a time where that was still the case, but things have changed. And I don't know which generation is responsible for initiating that really big change, but it is clear that the times are different.
Yeah, and I think it is for the better. Even though sometimes a lot of people say, "Oh, kids aren't as respectful as they used to be because they don't get held to that, to that level of respect." But I think it is better now. I think kids are probably growing up a little bit more quickly, but I think we are seeing a little bit more of the kids coming out and showing, showing what they're made out of. You know what I mean? It's kind of tough, but
I do. I appreciate your perspective on that, Dad. And I tend to agree that, we need to find a way to make this work and for the better. And I look forward to seeing where it's going. So let's end this topic with this episode. Let's talk the next episode, if you're okay with it, about why do we remember, or should I ask you, do we remember the good times more easily than the bad times, or is it the other way around? Let's talk about which one it is and why that is.
that's a very that'll be fun because I think it's very interesting. That's something that people don't really think about. I don't think, but it's something that would be fun to talk about.
I look forward to it, Dad. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.